I hate puppies. It's good podcast.
I feel threatened.
Not this week, I don't. I feel all right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Inside the Pallet House. Thank you for joining us yet again. Another week in the books. Caps are still the champs. Just wanted to put that on everybody's radar.
All week long, last time I checked.
That's right. And Ovi is, Ovi is still very, very drunk.
Doing it right.
There is no two ways about it. That team has absolutely lost it. Did you see that, Oprich lost his fucking finger in the finals? Like, just half of his finger came off and he just kept on playing?
I did not see that.
That's why I love hockey guys, man. They're like...
Them and soccer guys, they're like the two toughest, right?
No.
Soccer.
Yeah, really? No, I believe...
Football.
I believe you may be a little bit mistaken.
They are prettier, though.
There's a new voice, in case anybody has picked up on that. That is a new voice over there. That is our buddy JR. We're going to call him JR because I'll be damned if you don't look just like Joe Rogan.
Well, yes, I do.
I mean, it's unbelievable. This dude is like, he's yoked up like Joe Rogan, looks like Joe Rogan, same haircut as Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I was going to say this is Joe Rogan without the hair.
Well, doesn't Joe Rogan shave the head?
He does now.
He does.
Yeah.
Oh, but he's capable of growing hair.
But Fear Factor, he had hair.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
MMA, no hair.
Yeah, he's on that steady marijuana hair regrowing diet. It seems to be working for him.
And whatever nootropic or
Yeah.
whatever he's taking.
Exactly.
Whatever on it.
Yeah, that dude takes every supplement in the world, except for like he's always like, "Oh no, I've just never done cocaine." But
Yeah.
like, okay, but
Draw
you're
the
on
line there.
But you're on everything else. So I guess we're gonna find out if everything else kills you.
Seems to work for him
It's,
until it doesn't.
Speaking of supplements, can I add in here?
please.
I have taken every supplement there has been over the years, and then I haven't taken any for years. Never noticed a difference.
Really?
Yes, waste of money.
Even all right. So I happen
I've heard
to
that
be.
argument.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard
For
that too.
vitamins specifically, too.
I've been very partial to one supplement that I took for a long time, and it did bulk me up. I thought creatine. Did you ever notice anything? I'm assuming you did creatine.
I have done creatine before. I mean, I still do protein powder, but creatine, I've done that. I've never noticed a difference in strength, maybe a slight difference in size. But, I mean, nothing
Just made
really
me
appreciable.
pee all the time. That's what
Yeah,
I
I mean,
remember
because
about it.
that's the thing. It increases the amount of water in your muscle cells.
Which ultimately, for me, meant worse hangovers.
Right.
Is one thing I discovered. I had
Nice.
to drink twice as much water when taking creatine, or I'd get hangovers.
Yeah.
So now you've had quite an interesting career, though. You've been all over. You are a Green Beret. Once Green Beret, always Green Beret. So
That is true.
so you are a Green Beret. Is that when you started your supplement addiction?
That is
I'm just gonna go ahead and
that's probably about the time that I started. I had a team sergeant who was a big dude, big into lifting, and he was big on supplements. So that's about the time that I started. Yep.
that would make sense because that's what I want. I want my Green Berets fully supplemented up. Like,
My
Full of
the-
rage.
My thing with the supplements was
Muscles.
when I was working out like a fiend in college, I couldn't afford any of that stuff. So like I would go to the GNCs and the vitamin shops, and I'd like pick something up and then just put it down. I'd be like, yeah, I'll go natural. Like I can't take
What
any.
is GNC like? Super Tuesday, you buy two get one free or something
that's
like
right.
that.
Yeah, I remember that. It would just be filled with all the meatheads.
Yeah.
Like every other day, it's just hippies getting milk thistle. Like, you go in there on Tuesday, and it's everyone's just monstrous, swollen, veins throbbing. Yeah, that's when I was there because I'm an athlete.
Yeah.
Getting your supplements.
That's what athletes need, man. They need supplements.
And then they all say on the back of them, they all say like, for use as a dietary supplement, which somehow is legalese for, if this shit doesn't work, you can't put it on us.
Yeah, this one's not on us.
Yeah.
We didn't even test it.
It's definitely, I mean, you just got to give it some badass name. You know?
Yeah. Make a cool label.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it seems to work.
It
Supplements
does, though.
supplements don't have any FDA oversight, so they can
Yeah.
Which is
Pretty
so
much say whatever they
crazy.
want.
I know. Isn't that insane?
Because you're like, I'm taking 4 cups of this a day.
Yeah.
And yet the FDA's never touched it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm twitching and shaking, but I'm like, oh, pretty ripped.
Now, I never had the opportunity to do it, but I knew a lot of people did, and I know one that works 100% of the time. Steroids.
Testosterone sipping. Yeah. I've definitely seen some really effective steroid usage in my day.
One of my buddies in college, I mean, he was a little guy, but he was yoked. And I was naive about the whole – I knew some guys were doing it, but I didn't know, like, a lot of guys were doing it. Then I saw that dude, like, 5 or 6 years after college, and to me, he looked half the size. I thought he was dying of something. Like, he was so tiny.
Is he bald now by chance?
I haven't seen him in a few years, so he could be. I mean, I don't know. I probably haven't seen him in 5 or 6 years.
That's one thing I've noticed is most of the guys who did a lot of steroids ultimately went bald. It's like, damn. Like, you were trying to look better, and then you ended up costing yourself your hair.
It screws up your body and long. Look at Lyle Alzado. Didn't he die of brain cancer?
Brain cancer.
Yeah.
He was bald before he went. Me and Joe Rogan are bald, so what's that
That's
saying?
right. That's well.
Well, I will be bald soon enough. So, I mean, I feel like I should have just done the steroids, right? Like, I mean,
if you want to put it over the edge and get rid of the rest of that hair, go for it.
I feel like being bald isn't even a thing anymore. Like 20 years ago, it was a thing. Now everybody's like, yeah, I'm just shaving my head anyway.
I think being bald now is like having tats. Tats used to be looked down upon, and bald people used to be looked at as there's something wrong with you. But so many people do it now.
Yeah, a lot of people do it. They actually made like razors for shaving your head.
I have one, skull shaver.
How does that work?
I love it.
Hold on, it's literally called a skull shaver?
Yes.
It like slides over your finger into the palm of your hand, and you just go like this.
It's got 5 rotating blades, and it's got a battery pack, so you fit your fingers between the blades and the battery pack, and you literally
you got the battery operated one.
Damn.
Yeah, rechargeable.
See?
What a brilliant product. You sell something that shaves your head to bald people. Yeah, it works. Looks pretty skin tight.
Well, I mean,
Well, the thing, it gets around the curves and the edges of the skull. So it's more effective than any other electric razor I've ever tried on my head.
Well, there you go.
yeah.
We're officially we're endorsing
We should have
that.
thought of it.
I've been shaving for about a year and a half now, and I was going. So my kids would give me a hard time because I was thinning out so much, and I had the little yarmulke cap on top.
Yeah.
I was getting bald, and
Brennan and I are aware.
saw my son at college about a year and a half ago, and I had just gotten my hair cut a little shorter than I normally do, and I was in a baseball stadium. He walked right by me, stopped down low, and looked up and saw me and came up. He's like, I didn't even recognize you. Like, you look terrible. You need to shave that
You
off.
look terrible.
Ouch.
Hey,
Thanks,
this
kid.
is honest.
Remember, I brought you into this world. So I got to get one of those for the old swing bag. Do they make a swing bag shaver? Because that thing is a disaster to shave. I mean, it's
You got to keep up with it. It's the first time when you go in there like a bush hog in the jungle.
it's bad, man. You
Yeah.
can you can burn through an entire razor with that thing.
You got to
At
keep
least
up with it, though.
I can. It's a veritable
You just want to make it
forest.
presentable so that maybe one day.
It's like every once
Might
in a
go
while, I
somewhere.
just like look down in the shower and go, "Oh my god!" And just,
Well, you have to because it makes you look bigger.
but I thought that was an upper trim, like you do the coif above to make it look bigger. The
I think
ball
if you're
hair,
going to trim anything,
Yeah.
you should trim something. Like, you should trim it all. Like, you shouldn't just skip parts.
The ball hair you need to do for your partner.
yes,
If you're
If
hoping
she's going to
for-
gargle those things in her mouth, you don't want her, choking on your
I
hairs.
agree. I was going down the
more you
road
know.
of like the. I was essentially, I looked like a bald ZZ Top. Like everything at the top was trim, but down below I had just let grow for 20 years and was like, I'm starting to think that's a little bad. I remember the first time I ever even found out that I didn't know I had excessive ball hair, and then we do this like fraternity thing where you have to.
Here we go.
What about
Like a bird's
what
nest
about
or
lower than that?
When you lower like the chode.
Yeah.
You can get some excessive chafing. I've noticed if I trim anything that's
starts
not
coming back.
anything that's not dangling from my body, like if I shave it, I notice like as my legs walk, like everything chafes up and it gets really really bad. And I Lord knows I need it. I actually just saw my my butthole for the first time the other day. I'm serious.
Please tell us how.
I had never seen it.
It fell out. He was just walking
All right,
around.
so you were either
Should I bleach?
you were
I don't
either
know.
bent over looking through your legs, looking backwards in a mirror, or you were laying on your back with a mirror up close. Which one was it?
You're checking for ticks.
I was in the bathroom and did the old bend over and looked through back at the mirror technique.
Surprise.
It's kind of funny that he knows the two techniques for seeing. So I'm guessing that's a special forces thing.
What were you looking for, by the way?
Curiosity. There wasn't like there was. I didn't
cat.
think I had a tick or anything. I just thought I've never actually seen that area, and I looked. And oh my God, what a mess!
Is this presentable?
It was.
Did you start Googling anal bleaching after that?
I couldn't bring myself to have any poor lady do that. I learned a lot that day, and it was disturbing. It was like, finding out you're adopted at 30. I was like, oh my God, everything's been a lie. Like,
He's walking backwards out of the room now all the time.
I realized that the women who have loved me in my life really fucking loved me. Because it's bad. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like it's really disgusting. And the sheer amount of hair though was what really put it over the top, because it was like, well, you really can't see anything. So I had to do a little adjustment, and I was like, oh God, that hair goes all the way.
Yeah. So my point of that was,
What are we talking about?
You have to get to one of those little tiny personal razors that you take down there that can't do any damage if you get off track, so to speak.
Well, so I decided to do a little like maintenance work, and that's a horrible idea because then you get stubble. And I didn't, and my butt cheeks, they touch. And when you get some stubble there, I don't know if that's like thigh gap in girls. Like, I got my butt so tight, my butt cheeks don't touch. Like, I don't know if that's like a thing.
Is this our lead into Kenny Chesney by any chance?
No, but we'll get there. But it was not good. So I trimmed it up, and the next 3 days were really uncomfortable and horrible. Like every time you took a step, it was like sandpaper.
Oh.
So I've decided.
So lesson learned.
Yeah, it's like I don't have to
Just
look
roll
at
with
it.
the disaster.
Just
huh?
like don't look in the mirror anymore.
Yeah.
Don't bend over and stick your head through your knees. You don't have to do that. You'd made it all this time
Yeah.
without
You gotta-
seeing what was there.
or you got to keep up with it.
I just can't. It was so uncomfortable that I was like, I'd rather other people have to see that going forward than me have to be uncomfortable. Because it's really not my problem.
I love that he says other people, like there's just a laundry list of people.
So if there were a device that would go in there and
It would have to
precisely
take it down to like a 2 guard so that it's like it's not
it's
stubble.
right.
Yeah.
So,
right.
so what would you call it if the skull shaver, which is a very appropriate name for the skull shaver, what would you call that? Ooh, the crack shaver.
Leather Cheerio, de-hairer, de-veiner. I don't know. I don't know, man, but
Rusty penny trimmer,
it was pretty bad. Let's just call it a gamble.
the balloon
It's
nut.
it's a gamble.
cleaner upper.
I've never heard that, Rusty Penny. I like that.
The rusty penny.
It tastes just. I mean, nobody knows where the name came from. It's a mystery that shall forever go unsolved. But I guess the reason we were talking about that is honestly the ball situation. Boy, this is going downhill fast. 13 minutes in, and I already hate this episode.
Okay, so we were talking about me being in special force as a Green Beret. So
Sure,
I
yes,
was-
please. Troy, can I get a beer?
Let's get off his balls.
I was in the Army, and so Green Beret, obviously they wear Green Berets, but it became known to be that way from the John Wayne movie back in the 60s, 70s, the Green Berets, because they wore Green Berets. But
That's not the actual name. That's like a nickname we've given to Special Forces of Army.
correct. So
I always
the-
thought that was the technical name.
the
Green
technical
Berets.
name is Special Forces. So there are
Well, there you go.
special operating forces across the military. For example, the Navy has the SEALs, Army has Special Forces, Air Force has pararescue jumpers or combat control teams, and Marines sort of kind of consider themselves all to be Special Forces, but really Force Recon would be the soft Special Operating Force of the Marine Corps.
Where do the Rangers fall in that?
The Rangers are a Special Operations Force.
In the
are-
Army, right?
In the Army, they're simply known as Rangers, but they fall under the umbrella of a Special Operations Force, or SOF.
So what made you decide to become a Green Beret then? You were just in Special Forces. I'm not going to use that nickname anymore. That's bullshit.
But that's what everybody knows it as. So
I mean, when you said it, I was like, oh, that makes sense. That's not a desk job.
Yeah.
That's what I was like, okay. So what was the catalyst for that? Like you get out of basic and then decide I'm doing this?
I was an officer, so I went in the Corps of Engineers and always wanted to be in Special Forces. When I first got involved in the military, I was in ROTC in college.
Okay.
And I knew, the Special Forces were the best of the best, and I wanted to be part of that and jump out of airplanes and hoo-ah and all that shit.
I like it.
Yeah. So as an officer, Special Forces is what they call a non-matriculating branch. So you can't join the Army through ROTC as an officer or West Point and go as an officer. You have to start in another branch and then transfer to that branch after you've had some experience in the Army, learning how the Army works.
Interesting.
Makes
So
sense.
you can't. There's no shortcut.
Correct.
Bottom line.
Right.
There's just no shortcut.
It used to be differently. It used to be the same way for enlisted guys. Same thing. They would have to start in another MOS. So that's what they call the military occupational specialty for enlisted guys. They'd have to start in another MOS and then matriculate into Special Forces. But several years ago, that changed. So somebody could enlist now and go directly into Special Forces if they're enlisted.
All right. So they have changed. They've softened it a bit as far as how to get to it, but what you got to do to get there, that doesn't change.
Correct. Yep.
I mean, Special Forces is Special Forces.
So it starts off in the Army anyway with the Special Forces Assessment and Selection Course, better known as SFAS. Army is full of acronyms, as you know.
Well, I was about to say
yeah.
this is getting acronym
The military
heavy.
loves it. Government and military.
So is that a written test or is that a physical test?
That's a written test. You just need to pass written tests to get into Special Forces.
Interesting.
I'm
okay.
kidding. I'm kidding.
I was
Yeah,
like-
I was like, hold on, what?
Like, boy,
So
that
that-
dude can type 50 words a minute.
He's in.
Putting him in.
It's a SFAS is a month-long course at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where
Great grandfather.
you get tested physically and psychologically, both as an individual and as part of a team. It's different. Definitely a different type of course. So
Well,
you're
I believe
challenged
it.
Sounds like it.
extremely mentally and physically.
So you were surprised going in, like you didn't know what to expect when you
I
first
think,
started, or did you?
You know, I mean,
You
the
think
You knew it was
you
going to be
know.
hard.
the
but
Coconut Telegraph is out there, so everybody sort of kind of knows what's coming up and what you're going to do, that kind of thing. But
Gotcha.
it's different once you experience it.
Right.
My dad used to tell stories where he had to go to survival school. He was in the Air Force during Nam, but he was over in Okinawa, so definitely the better place to be. And but he had to do some survival training, and they ended up basically teaching you how to be like a POW for a small amount of time. They put him in like a 3x3 box.
The officers in Special Forces have to go through SERE school, SERE, Survival, Evasion,
I
Resistance,
think that's
and
exactly
Escape.
that's what he would call it.
So the one that I went to was at Fort Bragg, and you go through survival portion where you learn about what kind of plants, indigenous animals, things like that you can eat. Well, obviously animals you can eat, but what kind of plants you can and cannot eat. Land navigation is a big thing throughout the military anyway, but in SEER they push land navigation, the survival, the evasion part, the resistance. So that's where you go into, they call it an RTL, the Resistance Training Laboratory. So they put you in a situation.
That sounds miserable already.
Yeah.
You're in classroom for about a week and a half. It's a 3-week course. So you're in classroom for a week and a half learning things. Then the ultimate exercise toward the end was you have a scenario, they put you in that scenario, and you're trying to essentially link up with some partisan force, and they force you to get captured. You don't know you're getting captured, but like, all right, here comes this vehicle. These are the good guys. We're going to link up with them. And, of course, it turns out to be the bad guys, or it is the good guys, and then you get ambushed right down the road, and you get taken prisoner. And then they put you in a mock-up prisoner war camp.
Wow.
And, I mean, it is as legit as you can be. I mean, the
Yeah.
first thing...
They don't go halfway on you.
No. So, like, we got in processed, and they take your clothes off and give you your in your boots without laces. And you're in a big gravel pit, and you're on your knees, and they constantly tell you you can't sit on your knees. So, at first everyone's like, okay, it's kind of scary, it's kind of weird, but, your natural tendency when you're sitting on your knees for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes is to sit back on your feet. Well, they'd come around with a switch, and they'd hit you in the back or hit you in the ass. It's like, fuck, like, shit just got real.
Yeah.
It hurt.
Yeah, to say the least.
But not only that, but, you're fucking on gravel.
Yeah.
For 10, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, no big deal. 10 minutes, 20 minutes,
Starts to
30
eat
minutes,
you up.
fucking hurts. So then they take everybody in individually, and they in-process them through this, mock POW camp. And, of course, you're sitting there naked, and they're, mocking your junk and everything and whatever.
I got to be a drill sergeant.
Mental warfare.
Yeah, so then you go through everything. Yeah, at some point they put you in a concrete cell that's roughly 3x3, so it's short enough that you cannot lay down without bending over, short enough that you cannot sit up.
That's what he
without
was
really
saying. It
hunched
was
up.
designed so you're not going to be able to go to sleep. And then just to make sure you don't go to sleep, they come by and beat the shit out of it just to kind of keep you up.
And they do, it's an Army school. They don't want anyone dying or anything, so they force water on you so you don't dehydrate. So, of course, you got to pee all the time. So when you're in that cell,
Peeing in
there
your own
was
cell.
roughly about an inch, maybe an inch and a half gap underneath the door. So, this is something that we all kind of knew what we were getting into, but this particular facet we didn't know about. But everyone, when we got done with it, was doing the same thing. You'd try to shimmy up to that door and get your junk just under the door so you could pee through the crack without peeing in your cell and end up laying in your own pee. So,
Damn.
That's probably
funny
not foolproof. I'm guessing you were in some pee.
Yeah.
I was not actually. I saved it well enough, and I was flexible enough that I could.
How long do you
Squeeze it
think
through.
they had you in that 3x3 concrete box?
Too long.
So I'm trying. We were in
Well,
this.
they don't want you to know.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know you lose your sense of time.
So this
Oh, yeah.
this was several days ago. Sorry, several years ago. I think
Several
we were,
days ago. This was Tuesday.
we were in we were in the RTL for either 3 or 4 days, 3 or 4 nights. That portion was probably a couple different sessions of maybe 4 to 6 hours each, roughly. But same thing, like you never came outside during daylight. So the only time
Yeah.
you came out was when it was dark. So you totally lost sense of time. They pumped all kinds of funky music and loud, annoying shit through the sound system that they had there.
And that's just 3 or 4 days of that.
Yeah.
So, you can obviously see very quickly going through that
They
how that
had-
would affect you if you really were a prisoner of war for a year, 2 years.
They had some awesome role players as the guards. So these are guys who were in the Army, who were linguists, military intelligence guys. So they all had a certain accent, and they all came in crews. So they had 3 8-hour shifts. So one crew they would have a Hispanic accent, another crew would have a European accent, another crew would have a Middle Eastern accent. And they all had different standards on what they wanted, how you stood in formation, what you said. And so, the first time a different crew came out, you didn't know what was going on. And, you stand at attention like we would in the military, in the Army. And,
You're doing it wrong.
they'd come through, they'd pick somebody out in the back of the formation. And these motherfuckers, can I say that?
Yeah,
They
please do.
all seemed to be fucking huge. They would plow through the formation to the guy in the very back rank of the formation and grab him by the collar and shake him around. And, again, every single day is like, holy shit, this just got real. There were several of those just
Wow.
got real moments.
That's intense.
That's no game right there. I mean,
Yeah.
that's God, man. When you come out of that, you're 4 days in, and do you feel that mental weight? Like when you come out, are you right? And how long does it take before you are right?
Yeah, it's not that bad. I mean, the whole time you're in there, you're thinking like exactly what you said. Like, holy shit, like I could be in this for 6 months or a year, or John McCain was in this for 5+ years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a controlled environment.
Yeah, you're
So,
trying
yeah,
to play like a mental game where you're like, I know this is training, so I know there's a deadline. Like,
There is an end, hopefully,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you don't know.
And it really
When?
focuses you to put the things that you learned in the classroom into play. For example, the resistance portion, certain things that they tell you on how to resist
When they try to extract
interrogations
information.
and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, JR didn't want any part of it. He's like, oh, no, the guys are just over the hill, about 50 clicks.
Can I go home? We're good? You and I are good, right? All right, see you guys later.
Did I smell flan? Can we just, no, that's not.
So essentially what they tell you is every single person has a breaking point. There is not a single person who does not have a breaking point.
Sure. Of course.
And it's okay to hit that breaking point, but you resist as long as you can.
Yeah,
If
don't
you
do
hit
it
that
30
breaking rate-
seconds in.
Yeah.
But so their goal is to break you so that you do say, okay, I can't take anymore. But does anybody at that stage when you know that you got a certain amount of time and these people are technically allies, so I'm sure not many people break, or do people break in just the training?
No one really breaks in training. I think the break in training is that you give up information too early. And then you what they train you to do is look for the patterns and the things that they're doing to extract information from you and to recognize that and deal with it. Not that you're necessarily going to have a mental breakdown when you're in there, but to know, okay, I know he's asking me to do
this guy's
certain
here,
things.
he's hitting me, so this guy he'll be done soon, and then the other guy comes in, and
Right.
so you kind of just you pick up on what they're doing.
Right.
I guess like everything, everyone has a technique and a pattern. So
Right. Yep.
Interesting. So your job is to find it, to figure
Right.
it out, because that's the only thing that you can then mentally focus
So
on to get
my
you
worst
through.
thing, I'll tell you this, is claustrophobic spaces. So there's this one thing I knew going into it. They're going to put you in a box and, squeeze you in a box. And you don't know when it's coming, but when it happens, they're like, aha, I remember hearing about this. So I was everyone goes through this. I was in a room and they were asking me questions. I had a blindfold on. And literally, they're speaking in an accent. They're like, squat like duck. So I'm like, what? And, if you don't do it right away, the guy punched me in the stomach. So, fuck. He's like, squat like duck. Squat like duck now. So he means squat like a duck. So I get down, and I'm squatting, and he's like, more. And then they pushed my head down. So literally, my ass was probably touching my ankles. I was standing on my feet.
You were like Brendan was in the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Trying to
Very
look
similar.
What did you call it? The dirty penny?
Yeah, the rusty penny.
The rusty penny. So anyway, push my head down, and then he says, now back up. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like so crunched over I could barely breathe, and then they shoved me back in this box. So imagine, literally my head was probably, my ears were touching my ankle bones, and my ass was against the box, the back of the box. My upper shoulders were against the top of the box, and I couldn't, I was so bent over I couldn't breathe, and I started freaking out.
Yeah, I'd have a panic attack.
So
for
I
sure.
don't know how well I do.
I kind of had a panic attack, so I broke out of there, and it's, again, a training environment. They don't want anyone to have a mental breakdown. So they took me out of that box, and they say, okay, all right, we got another box for you. So I stood up, and, of course, still got the blindfold on. I don't know what I'm getting into, but they tell me to stand up straight and tall, take a deep breath, and turn my head to one side. And they shoved me
the opposite of what you were in.
in like a wall locker. It was so tight they had to literally shove me in there and then close the door. But here's the thing. This is kind of funny because remember I told you that they always had us out during nighttime hours.
Yeah.
Well, this was daytime, and here's how I knew this. I got stuck in this box. I was so tight, literally, I could completely go limp, and the pressure between my back and my chest
Oh, God.
was holding me up.
Oh my god!
And I rubbed my head against the wall, and so my blindfold came up a little bit, and I could see through a crack in this thing, and it was daylight, and I could actually see sunlight for the first time in a couple days.
And you were so happy.
And so I
It's
just
the little things.
Yeah.
suddenly, with all this shit going on, I totally relaxed. I was completely limp and could hold my body up without
Straightening
standing
your
on my
legs.
feet.
Yeah.
And poking out my eye, I could see daylight through the thing. I was like,
Living the life.
yep.
It's the little things,
That's
man. I'm
amazing.
sure when you're in those moments, it's like just that one glimpse of sunlight, and you're like, reality.
Yeah.
Like it's out there. The world's still turning.
And then mentally, you just relax a little, like you said. That's crazy.
And now it's like, oh, I don't want this house. It doesn't have a good enough view.
Yeah.
You were living in a locker with a slit, and we're like, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Didn't I say don't put tomatoes on my burger?
Yeah.
Exactly. It really does kind of put things in perspective, huh? You're like, nah, that's fine. Pickles are fine.
So
I'm good.
here's another funny story about that. So the main guards who I told you about, the guys who actually talked to you and addressed you were, in role. But then they had soldiers from the 82nd Airborne who were out there more or less like pulling security. They were in, if you will, they were extras in a movie. So they were just kind of there. They knew what we were going through, and they came out knowing that they were going on this detail to be in the RTL and be guards, and they would bring us food, and they would have gotten in trouble if people knew they were giving us food, but they would bring cookies like Oreos, chocolate Chips Ahoy. They would throw them on the ground in front of us when we had to go out and rake leaves and cut down trees and dig
push a Chips Ahoy through your piss crack.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they'd be in front of us, throwing a cookie out on the dirt. And we're like
Gobbling
fucking
that
rats
thing up.
eating that shit up. Like, fuck yeah, man.
You're the man.
And you're like, I've loved Oreos ever since. That's always been my dessert. It must have been the
doubt,
best
like
That little
tasting thing
sand
ever.
of mine.
To this day,
Yeah.
I mean,
I have to drop my Oreo on the ground first before I eat it every time.
I will eat absolutely anything. I'll eat anything off the ground. Like, it does not matter to me at all.
Yeah, the 5-second rule starts to seem very pussy.
Yeah.
You can eat that Oreo from that piss puddle there.
Plus, if you've ever eaten MREs, then you probably could stomach anything.
Yeah. MREs have changed quite a bit, by the way.
Are they good now?
Yeah.
Really?
They have a huge variety now compared to what they used to have. They made a lot of improvements.
I just remember eating like
I
the
think
ones
they
from,
could have
like,
gotten worse. Yeah.
yeah, they were like just dehydrated. You kind of like crunch in them, and they were just like bad Cheetos. Like, oh, that's mashed potato.
That was like the fruit mix.
Yeah,
Came
I just-
dehydrated, it was crunchy.
I remember as a little kid, like I ordered a bunch of like the NASA, like the space food.
Yeah.
I thought I was so cool, like eating
I'm
the
an
world's.
astronaut.
I was eating like the world's worst strawberry ice cream, like thinking I was
It's like
cool.
powder.
Yeah, you're like around the kids, like crunch. It's ice cream.
My dad had a bunch of expired MREs from when he was in the military and would always take them camping and make us eat them, and they were always awful, and never liked them since.
We had guys who were gourmets. When I was in Ranger School, that's
I've
all
heard
you ate
tricks
pretty
about
much.
them. Yeah, you could like swap ingredients out, and you had ways of making them better and stuff.
You'd always get, like a coffee packet that would have cream and sugar, and generally all of them had, I don't know what they have now, back in the day, all of them had some sort of dried fruit mix. But you put in creamer and sugar in there and water, mix it up. And here's the thing with the dehydrated stuff, you got to let it sit and absorb that water.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it's still crunchy. But stir it up, let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then, oh, my God. It was like eating dessert.
Just looking through a little crack
Yeah.
in some sunlight, eating
Yeah.
some creamer. It's like things are looking up.
It's baller status right there. I mean,
Man,
But
you
it-
must
it-
have some.
We got. I mean, you get so hungry that you would eat the salt and if you didn't put your salt and pepper on something, you would just eat it straight just to eat something.
Yeah.
I have got to stop complaining. I'm just sitting here. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I am such a puss. I'm like, excuse me, front desk. Yeah, the espresso machine is a little clogged.
yeah.
If you could replace that, that'd be great.
You're like, I hate when I get some coffee grounds in my coffee. It's like the worst, right?
Is this isn't Egyptian cotton, is it?
I think the only time I have ever returned food at a restaurant was at an Outback steakhouse one time in Myrtle Beach.
Well, there you go.
That explains it.
Yeah.
It's pretty much
Any restaurant in Myrtle Beach is
story
probably
tells
acceptable.
itself.
I got a steak and I asked for it medium, I think, and it came out. I have never seen a steak so rare in my life. Like, it could not stand up straight. It was just folding over. That is the only time. But any other time, like if something I order isn't that good, I'm going to eat it anyway.
For the most part, I just power through. I was at a restaurant the other day in Baltimore, and I ordered a steak, and I was like, I'll take it medium, and they brought it out, and it was probably the same steak you had. I mean, I've never, but I'm colorblind, so I wasn't sure. I was like, well, it tastes like raw. Like, it doesn't taste like
Did
it's
it
been
moo
cooked
at
at
you?
all. But I was like, well, I mean, I don't want to like,
Yeah.
I want to call
Cause
the
a
guy.
scene.
I forgot if I'm eating steak or chewing bubble gum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never seen the waiter walks by and goes, "Oh God!" And I was like, "What?" And I'm like chewing. There's blood running down my face. Like, well, what? What's wrong? He's like, "Dude, you ordered medium. That is completely raw." He's like, "I don't even know if they cooked it." Like, usually a waiter tries to like, hide it so his tip doesn't get affected. He's like, "Oh, dude." No,
He grabbed it before they put it on the grill.
sticks his finger in my throat. I'm like, you're gonna have to puke now.
Yeah.
But he actually took it. He didn't even ask. He just picked it up and took it back. And I was like, oh, I guess that probably was pretty raw. Then.
I love the blood running down your face description.
Yeah.
It was not a good look.
Yang,
Like
yang,
looking around, eating by myself in Baltimore, looking around, blood
running down your
everywhere.
He's a regular.
Who's that weird guy over there?
That guy's fucking insane.
Can I have some Chianti with this?
Yeah. Are you doing your best Hannibal actor?
The fava beans. Oh my God! Speaking of good tasting stuff, I did get us something today, Troy, that I've been dying
Oh
to try.
yeah, let me grab it.
I am intrigued by this. It's been out for a while. I know everyone can get their hands on it, but for some reason, I just never tried it. But it's my favorite brewery, so it's Guinness, but it's that Guinness American Lager, whatever it is. What's it called, Troy? Blonde American Lager from Guinness. Interested to see how this turns out, because Guinness is trying to diversify and cater to,
American.
I guess, all this shit that's happening. Yeah. So the greatest beer in the world has had to step down to our taste profile, but we'll see how it
I can
goes.
already tell you it's not going to be as good as Guinness, because Guinness is the best drinking beer ever.
I agree. Until last week, we had the Hell's Lager in here, and then, I'll be damned if everybody didn't go batshit over
My wife
that
was
thing.
listening to the last week's episode today, and she said, and she heard that part, and we were all out there yesterday at Fine Creek, and she was like, "Oh, I should have had that while we were out there," and I was like, "Honey, you still wouldn't have liked it, because she doesn't like beer. Even though we said it was good, it still tastes like beer."
Is this a bad time to mention that I don't like Guinness?
No, it's perfectly fine.
You don't like Guinness?
I don't like dark beer. I really don't. Never
I
been
mean,
a-
look,
never
I
been a
got to
fan.
assume that your head's been beat in. I'm going to forgive your horrible taste. You're
I'm assuming this isn't dark at all, but we
you're an
can't.
American hero, so we're going to let you slide. But
Can you see it? Is it a dark beer?
I mean,
It says blonde.
it looks
says
relatively
blonde.
light.
It
I
says
like
the
it.
Brewers Project, a group of enterprising brewers on a quest to explore new recipes, reinterpret old ones, and collaborate freely to
On a
bring
quest
exciting
to
beers
explore
to
the
life.
American market.
To read
Yes.
it in Irish.
Exactly. On a
Rich-
quest to profit.
Rich biscuity flavor with citrus notes and
Rich
a crisp finish.
Fucking Bojangles.
Brewed in
I know Americans
Latrobe,
love rich biscuits.
brewed in Latrobe, Pennsylvania.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah,
Really? It's not even like a good part of Pennsylvania.
Latrobe is Rolling Rock.
Yeah, I was going to say something else is brewed there. Rolling Rock. You're right.
Yeah, there's a winner.
I think Arnold Palmer's from there too.
Do you not like Rolling Rock?
I mean, Rolling Rock's fine, but it's like, is it really that great? Like, it's got a cult following, but it's not that great of a beer.
Green's my favorite
skunk
color.
water.
Green's my favorite color, so I think I like it because of the bottle color.
So you like green bottles?
Yeah.
You ever tried Lucky Buddha? I think it's a couple of those bottles up there, those green like Buddha bottles.
Never tried it.
Man, that stupid beer is so bad, but the bottle is so cool.
I've
that
never even
I will
seen
drink
it
them by
other
the
than
dozen.
here. Where do you even find them?
I don't know if they really sell that well.
It's like Grolsch. Didn't Grolsch used to have the
Grolsch
cool?
had
yeah,
the cool
bottles with
bottle
the
with the top that you could replace back on it.
This is an interesting beer right here, to say the least.
Nothing about that tastes like Guinness.
No, it's made in Latrobe, Pennsylvania.
I know nothing. I was just going to say it's got a slight aftertaste.
Well, we'll start
of the
with
Guinness
you.
flavor.
We'll give JR the floor. What do you think of that beer? And ultimately, when you're done giving your overall impression, 1 to 5, 5 being the absolute best, 1 is a turd, 2.5 is
You can go
well, you guessed it,
0
right
to
down the middle.
5,
Oh boy.
and you can go halves.
I went to Germany a few years ago. It's got a bit of a Hefeweizen
Yeah.
taste to it.
That's what I.
It's got. I
like
can't
the wheat.
describe the aftertaste, but I would say it's got a familiar Guinness type aftertaste. Overall, I would say I like it because I'm more partial to pale ales and Hefeweizen type beers, but I would drink it absolutely.
So I'm guessing you're giving that like a 3, 3.5 would be my guess based on the description there.
I would say 3.5 to 4.
Ooh,
Nice.
So one of my favorite beers when I was in Germany, I believe, was called a Franziskaner.
Yes, Francis Conner is
Yes.
delicious.
It has a very similar taste to that.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'd say a 4.
It's surprising hearing that description and tasting it because this is not anything like what I expected this beer to be. That's
Yes.
for sure. Do you got an opinion on that, Troy?
You know, It's not a bad beer at all. It's weird that it has the Guinness logo all over it and says Guinness. Guinness has such a distinct, flavoring.
It's got an off-white label, though.
Yes, it does. Instead of the black.
Telling us it's blonde.
5%,
Yeah.
5% alcohol.
5%. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. I'd give that a 3 all day.
Yeah, I'm. The more I drink it, the more interesting it becomes. When I took my first sip, I thought, okay, it's like a poor man's like hoppy lager because I was tasting like hoppy notes, and those are gone now.
Yeah.
Like I'm not tasting.
Yeah, you tasted initially. I mean, we just were drinking Coors Light and
Yeah.
jumped to this. That's what you initially
But it's
taste,
more malty.
But, it does.
But it jumped out with hops, so I thought, oh, they did like a weird pale ale thing that's a little different. But I think JR hit it on the head that it's got more Hefeweizen flavors than
That's what I was tasting
pale ale
on the back end
flavors.
for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's damn good. I don't know. I almost wish it wasn't Guinness because that's what's taken away from it. Like I'm like Guinness is my
Can't put
favorite
it on a
beer.
pedestal then.
Yeah, but I'm just like Guinness is my favorite, and this is like
Not Guinness.
not a Guinness at all. It's a well done beer.
Yeah.
If you'd handed me this and said Dogfish came out with this new beer, I'd be like, they nailed it. It's super light, like Hefeweizen.
Yeah.
But a Hefeweizen is unfiltered. I guarantee you this pours like golden, not like cloudy,
Yeah.
like a Hefeweizen should. It doesn't have any of that filter. Like it's completely filtered. So
Yeah.
it's very refined.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 3.5. If it didn't say Guinness on it, yep, it's golden. I'm sorry, Troy just poured it from 6 inches.
I
from
just
his
poured
mouth.
it into my mouth. You can see it was going.
Yeah, I tend to
3.5 over here.
Yeah,
that's,
I'm-
it's a good. That's a good beer.
I definitely like it as
It's-
well.
It is golden. It's a little darker than I thought.
Yeah, for me it definitely has that Hefeweizen kind of aftertaste or, notes on it, which I tend to not really gravitate towards that type of profile. I like the hoppiness of the IPAs, but not the overly hoppy. So for me, but honestly, after the first sip, I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this, but like second or third, it's a tasty treat. I'd give it a 3.
I would guess Ely'd give it a 3. Just
Yeah, I
knowing,
think Ely would like this
knowing
beer.
his
It's
profile.
a solid beer, just not what I would normally gravitate towards.
It's definitely good. I don't. It's funny though. I'm giving it a 3.5, but I don't know I'd seek it out.
Is it a normal price point for a 6-pack, like $8 or something like that, $9?
It was exactly in that range, which I found interesting because it was like $1 less than the Guinness.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's interesting.
I like it better than the Coors Light.
Well, there you go.
There
a
you go.
ringing
Yeah.
endorsement.
Yeah.
Definitely has more flavor for sure.
Yes, definitely. Definitely is more flavor.
Yeah, that's a pretty good beer. I think for a summer beer, I think it'll probably get a lot of run, and that's probably why I haven't seen it in a while
Yeah.
because we've been doing all these other beers and everything, and now all of a sudden it just popped up in the store today. I was like, I got to.
It makes you wonder if, like, Guinness sales are hurting. Why would they go off on this tangent? I mean, it just seems kind
I mean, it's still like the best-selling beer in the world.
Tacos
so-
and pizza.
Yeah.
But I think greed is a powerful drug.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's
Like-
always more money to make, right?
Like, yeah, we've got the number 1 beer, but these assholes got 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean,
Yeah.
you just want to.
Cocaine is a powerful drug.
Yeah, I could see their
Powerful
investor be
drug.
like, we need to diversify
But James said
our
that, didn't he?
portfolio.
I believe
Yeah.
he did.
Did you guys hear the story? And this is local. Maybe other parts of the world have it about the giant hogweed that's found in Virginia. Have y'all seen or heard about this?
This is funny you bring this up. 'cause
Supposed
I
to
was-
burn you or something?
I read it. There was an article in the paper about it the other day that it was found in Northern Virginia.
So I guess this is some like invasive
Yeah,
plant or
some
shit?
invasive species that's native to Central Asia, and of course,
Everything comes from fucking Central Asia. But have you noticed this? They're like, oh, that lake was doing great until the hydrilla came in
Yeah.
and started choking everything out.
And
it's
then,
like,
the snakeheads or whatever.
and then, hey, dude, those snakeheads are the freakiest damn fish in the
Super
world.
predators.
And if
It reminds me of the stuff called, I think it was kudzu
yeah,
down in
kudzu
Georgia that dominated and infiltrated all the plants and bushes, and it's everywhere.
chokes everything out. Yeah,
everything from Asia will choke everything out. Like, oh, don't put that bamboo in my yard. Fuck, there goes the neighborhood.
And
Oh,
you gotta-
yeah, and you can't
gotta
kill it.
wonder like how it gets over here. I mean, is it all like is it accidental or just some asshole brings it over here?
We
and
need a
plants
wall.
it? A wall to separate us from Asia.
The ocean's not
You've always
good
said
enough.
that.
This motherfucker wants to put a wall at the edge of the ocean.
For the
No,
plants.
that's dumb. In the middle of the ocean. Come on.
I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Right down the middle.
An excuse shows my ignorance.
Yeah.
Just coming straight up from the
We don't want to
Mariana
lose the
Trench.
beach, dude. Come on.
Actually, these pesky plants spread when birds and waterways carry seeds to new locations. Seeds can grow for 10 years once they're dropped off.
Birds.
But a 2-pound swallow can't carry a coconut
From Asia.
Good thing I didn't Google that. I just knew that off the top of my
Yeah.
head.
I
It's weird.
see that you are a very smart man. We
So
get a lot of time to
so
think
they
about
say
it.
the sap can cause third-degree burns, and if it gets in your eyes, can freaking blind you.
Back up.
Yeah.
Back.
I mean,
Just
that's
get
intense.
the sap on me. So I'm out here weed whacking my yard.
Yes. And so it's funny you say it because they say do not weed whack. Like, you have to, like, rip it out by the roots. or-
Sold.
That's like with poison ivy. You do the same thing.
Well, the thing is,
eat you up.
this thing grows. It's like 6 feet to 18 feet. It's massive.
So you can't miss it.
If
So,
you know
like
what you're
when you
looking
come
for.
outside, there's an 18-foot
that,
tree.
Wade.
It's actually very, very pretty. So it's
Yeah, it's
it was
got-
just there was a confirmed sighting in Clark County, Virginia, which is up in northern Virginia, and just browsing here, it's part of the carrot family. It's a toxic plant.
It's got a big old, like, white flowers all over. It's actually kind of cool looking.
This is perfect. I never have to weed whack again. Like, baby, you want me to get
Yeah.
third-degree burns?
the
You mean go
spray of
blind?
white flowers looks similar to Queen Anne's lace.
Okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't help me.
Jason knows what that is. Because Jason knows a lot of plants.
Well, yeah, that's what he does.
Yeah.
This
Well,
it's crazy. It's got
so-
toxic chemicals. It says when the chemicals come into contact with the human skin, it can cause a reaction that makes skin extremely sensitive to light. The reaction also causes dark, painful blisters, which can leave scars.
This is not good.
Yeah, so they say if you get the sapling, you have to wash with soap and water, and then you have to stay out of the sun because, as JR was saying, like, you're sensitive to light.
Yeah.
So you get it on you, it doesn't immediately cause a problem, but you get it in the sun, that's when the third-degree burns kick in?
I don't know. I think I think even after you wash it off you're still sensitive. Where it touched you, you're still sensitive to light after that.
I must have had this stuff on me as a child because I burn. I just don't think I'm built for the sun.
Here's what it says. When the plant spread across New York in the past, the New York State Department of Health recommended that anyone who came in contact with the plant wash it off with cold water immediately and get out of the sun.
So it was in New York.
Everything that
So it's
sucks
just
in New York comes down here.
so it's just new to
New York.
Virginia.
A
It's
lot of
just
New Yorkers in Virginia.
Yes. Yeah.
it's just new here now.
Yeah, this is new, relatively new.
But this isn't like the first time it's shown up in the States then. It's
No,
it's
no.
made its way
Yeah.
down.
A toxic reaction can begin as soon as 15 minutes after contact.
This is bad.
Yeah, this is not good. We have kids.
I have to stay in the house now. I can't come out. I will just look
Yeah.
at my yard through a sliver of light. It looks beautiful.
There could
through
be
here.
hogweed out there. I'm not going out there.
Just as long as there's no hogweed in my 3x3 concrete cage,
Yeah.
just stick my dick out under the little tiny cut and just bump it into a piece of hogweed.
Are y'all allergic to
crazy.
poison ivy and poison oak? Because some people aren't.
I'm not.
You're not, so
I'm not.
it never messes with you.
I definitely am now. I never thought I was. I was actually, when I was doing landscaping, your neighbor over here had the most poison ivy in her yard I've ever seen in my life.
I
And my
remember her
my-
telling me about that.
Yeah, my job was to pull that shit out. Well, apparently with poison ivy, the more exposure you have to it, the more you will react to it. And
That's not good.
yeah,
Seems
so
like
basically,
very common knowledge of how.
so
things
basically,
work.
I just dove into it, and oh my god, dude, I was
covered
hurt.
you?
Oh my god, all over my arms, my legs.
Ugh.
It was the worst, man.
Yep.
And I had to
So
buy
just
special
because
shit
you're
to like
just because
shower
you're
with.
not allergic today doesn't mean you won't be allergic.
right. If
tomorrow.
you start handling it, yeah, you will fucking get more allergic. You will.
That helped me out in the Army. I mean, I could roll in that. Poison oak, poison sumac, never got any kind of reaction. My mother, on the other hand, I mean, if she was outside when someone was gardening or cutting the grass and
Kicking it
cut
up.
over, she was downwind, she would have a reaction. Yeah.
Wow.
So she was super allergic.
So I
Super.
got into it a few years ago and went up to the, CVS to like buy whatever over the counter. I got to talking to the pharmacist, and they're like, "Yeah, do not wait," because all the stuff was like $50, $60. They're like, "Do not waste any money on that. Go buy Dawn dish detergent and wash with that, So I bought a bottle of Dawn dish detergent, and
Really?
every day I shower with that because the key is you got to get the oil off, and the only thing that gets the oil off is the Dawn, as you know from the commercials, cuts through all the oil, and that's what gets it off your body.
From what I remember, the mistake people make is it gets so itchy they wash it off and they scrub hard.
Yeah.
You're supposed to wash very gently and let like you said, let those oils come out.
Yeah.
Well, the stuff they actually have for it have like little granules in it, feel like sand in it. You know, the actual stuff you buy. I mean, it wasn't $60. I think it might have been like $10 or something for like a thing of.
Call
soap
me a liar.
Well, back then it might have been, but
the Dawn dish detergent worked. I just showered with it for a couple
your
days.
bathroom look like a late night party in Ibiza
Yeah,
or
it was
something
awesome.
at that point?
Yeah, it
There's
was pretty
foam
cool.
fucking everywhere.
Party.
You know,
Turn
got a girl coming in like shooters.
Yeah.
Shooters. You're like, yeah, don't mind if I do.
Yeah.
Take a shower with your pots and pans.
There you go.
Get everything done at once.
Like, where'd you get all those rashes? It's a crazy foam party in Ibiza. You know how that shit goes.
You smell lemony fresh. Well, yeah, you know.
I should. I'm covered in Dawn. But that actually worked.
Yeah, it definitely worked. So
There you go.
There
It's
you go.
always some weird shit. Like you get a skunk, they're like bathe in tomato juice or tomato.
I just was happy the pharmacist was legit with me and not buy the expensive
Yeah,
crap
don't
we're
waste-
selling.
yeah.
Yeah, don't waste your time.
Does that work, by the way? Tomato soup with the skunk?
I've always heard
I've heard that, but I don't know.
I remember I was a little kid once, and
Yeah, you were.
I was too. We all were.
You too?
cool. All right, guys, thanks
thought
for
that was
tuning
just
in.
I could relate.
We'll talk to you guys next week. It's these fucking twats. What were we talking about? No, so I was.
Tomato
Tomatoes.
juice and skunk.
I remember I was out with my my grandfather once. We were gonna go fishing, and we were like looking for worms, and he went over and he took a pitchfork to a big old pile of hay, and he put that pitchfork in there and yanked it, threw it over his shoulder. What we didn't know was there was like a hornet's or wasp nest
Inside of it?
inside of it, and he just cut it right in half and just ripped the top off of it.
Threw it in the air?
Threw it all in the air. And I remember it just looked like a cloud of death came out. Like all came out.
They were
And
so happy to
That's
see
something
you.
you don't see every day.
it was not good. It was not good. My grandfather's like, run! And I just I'm running, and he's beating the shit out of me. And I'm thinking, why does this asshole keep hitting me? What I'm not realizing is he's
You
just
had it coming?
knocking. Yeah, it was all a setup. It was all a ruse. He's like, I'm going to whoop this kid, but
I'm
I
trying
don't
to
want
run. You keep knocking me down, Grandpa.
Grandpa beat my ass. I did not. I saved your life.
And that's what he was saying. He said he just kept whacking them
Smacking
off
hornets
of me.
off you?
Yeah, just smacking them off me the whole way back to the house. And I guess he just got lumped the fuck
Yeah.
up because he was behind me taking the brunt of it.
How did we get here from tomato soup and skunks?
I will get there.
Okay.
Because my grandmother was like, all right, you need
She
to.
was making tomato soup.
Yeah, so I just had a sandwich.
grilled cheese, tomato soup. Go
You know, it's actually a really good day.
Yeah.
What were you guys talking about? No, so she made me take a bath in bleach.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, she
Diluted, I hope?
Yeah, diluted.
100% pure.
Go buy 55 gallons of bleach.
My skin came off.
But that was her thing. She diluted a bunch of bleach, put it in the tub, and I guess that would
So you did get a few stings.
yeah. I did not get lumped up
Yeah.
like Grandpa, but I definitely was.
Did it work?
Yeah, I mean that's why, and it just. I wonder if this is why I've got hair coming out of everywhere, like my body's trying to compensate.
It's the bleach.
Yeah, now I pee in 3 streams. Got some up in the urethra.
So you're saying you're used to anal bleaching. So it's nothing new.
I'm just saying I'm shocked at how truly dark it is, despite the
You're a
bleach baths.
trendsetter. That's right.
Yeah, I've always been. That's just kind of my thing. Well, my modeling career had gone south, and I thought it's probably the dark butthole hair. So there's been, bleach baths.
It won't wipe away.
It won't wipe away. It never does either. And I think that's
It's
part
like
of my.
wiping a marker.
So we're back to it. I think this is why I want a bidet so bad.
That's why we don't have sponsorships.
All right.
Yeah, bio bidet.
Can I say this?
I don't know.
How does a bidet work? So I get it. You sit on it, it squirts water up your butthole. Then how do you dry
I think
off?
you nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, so you pretty much nailed it. So there are bidets now that have dryers.
Okay, what if you don't have one with a dryer? You don't want to use toilet paper because that's going to...
You end up having to
yeah.
use one piece of toilet paper. One little tiny piece of toilet paper.
One square.
Just
I
to kind
think
of,
I think even with a bidet that doesn't have a dryer, you still use less toilet paper.
Certainly.
And you feel
I
cleaner.
mean, when you wipe with
you're
Yeah.
soaking wet, it's going to shred. It's going to fall off. It's going to stick to your skin. And
Well,
your
you dab.
butthole and
You dab. You don't
You
wipe.
dab.
Yeah.
You dab. You dab. You dry.
Pat dry.
Pat dry. There it is.
Yeah.
Stab it with your undies.
There it is. Pat dry.
I've never been a dabber.
had-
I'm a wiper, so it's
You
hard
have
for me to
a-
get used to.
You have a towel that you have a dabbing
Exactly.
towel to the
That's
side.
my point.
Yes.
So what you
the
end up
pink
with
eye towel.
you end up with a shitty towel hanging near the
butthole
bidet,
towel.
and, I mean,
Don't forget your towel.
it doesn't get shared for other people, does it?
I would hope not. I mean, I
Oh,
don't
it
know.
does.
You have to have a his and hers.
You hang it right next to the sink, so when after your
And do you
friends
use it
get,
again?
wash their
That's my
hands.
Yeah,
point, like-
there is no doubt that would be my guest towel. I'd
Yeah.
be like, dab, dab, and go set it up. Be like, did you enjoy your shower?
So
I
what
really
if
liked-
it's,
I
what
really
if
liked
it's
your
just your
jokes.
own? Do you use it again?
Well, if it was my own, I would have. It'd be like, that would be the step before it becomes my catfish towel.
Yeah.
You know, like I always have that one towel like in my tackle box.
Yeah.
It's my catfish towel because I am
Or your
frightened. I am
dog drying
frightened.
towel.
So there's my point. You get a bidet, you go through freaking a towel a day, right?
Well, I'm not just throwing out the towels. God, how far have you come since survival school? This motherfucker's now like throwing out towels. Like,
Got to wash them.
this thing is trash.
Yeah, it's got shit on it.
I have dabbed my
Not
butthole.
if you use your bidet right. It should be clean.
All right, so how high pressure does that come out?
So
I've never used one.
every bidet has
I would
the,
need
can dial
a
it
high
up.
pressure bidet.
You can dial it up.
You'd be surprised how much pressure you actually need. I think that's a common misconception.
Probably not a lot.
That, yeah, people think I need a boatload of pressure, but you're not power washing your deck.
It's not
Yeah.
it's not an enema.
You're blowing some poop off your butthole. It's not. It doesn't take a high.
rinse.
Well,
You
it has
do-
to go through a forest.
Maybe you guys exactly. Maybe you guys shit differently than I do, but it's a god awful mess down there.
I get it, mostly from my butthole. I don't know how you shit. I'm a little concerned about that statement in and of itself, and we can get back to that because that's weird. But most people just go out of their butt.
Well, they should. Some people should standing up. Maybe that's the issue.
Yeah, the towel's the
It's
least
getting
of your
everywhere.
worries.
Does the skunk spray come out their ass? Or no, glands or
I
something?
think it's
Glands.
glands. Yeah.
Okay.
But the bidet, man, I'm in market for a bidet to the point that when I redid my bathroom, I had an electrical socket put in next to the toilet because I know I'm getting a bidet.
Because they make them now that are like low end that like don't have the heated waters in the dryer that are pretty cheap.
Yeah, I would say for $100 you can get like some low end
I think
stuff.
for like I want to say I saw one for like $50-$60.
But I mean, like one that you would actually be proud to spray water into your butthole.
yeah,
I'd need a power washer.
Yeah, and so
3,000.
So for about-
I need the $400 model.
well, for about $800, you can get full power washer, oscillating, different patterns, different lengths,
Heated
multiple
water.
nozzles. Heated water, and none of that like tank bullshit, like a Renai, like on demand all the time. So I could sit there for 30 minutes and just spray warm water into my butt. And
saving a
those
ton
ones-
on toilet paper, but the water bill is through the roof.
Yeah. But they have the ones that have dryers. In my experience, I've never found a dryer that was sufficient enough.
Yeah, it's like a hand dryer. Like when you go wash
But it's
your
like
hands.
the old hand dryers.
I know, but I'm saying like those old hand dryers, like they don't like you can stand there for 2 minutes and your hands are still damp when you walk out of there.
Yeah, they don't have a
They're horrible.
Dyson. They don't have a Dyson butt blade yet, and they need it.
You're still better off.
Have you
though.
used a bidet?
Oh yeah, I've used all kinds of bidets,
Where?
mostly on my butt.
Mostly, he said mostly.
Yeah, well,
wonder how this water tastes.
Here in the States or in Europe?
yeah, actually, so I used one not too long ago in Chicago, where I had a buddy who actually had a bidet, and so which I felt really weird about because I like as soon as I found out he had a bidet,
had to use it.
I was like just waiting for a poop. Like
You're
I was like,
I got
you're
shit.
trying to conjure up a poop, weren't
I
you?
was like hanging out.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, got any coffee?
Yeah.
like just like drinking coffee. He's like,
I'm just gonna run down the corner and get a bowl of chili. Anybody else? Y'all good?
Anybody? I thought you quit smoking. I did, but you know, coffee and a cigarette just sounded really good right now. Is that bidet warmed up? So yeah, I
You're
used
like-
that one.
you're
That was-
drinking-
So he has a
taking
bidet in his
action.
house.
and he has,
X-Lax?
he has the Toto washlet. It's a premier bidet. Very nice. Full wireless remote. Excellent.
What did you dab with? A towel or toilet paper?
So I sat there.
That's my biggest concern.
I sat there.
That's what I want to know about.
I sat there quite awkwardly for about 2 minutes with this thing blowing. Yeah, and it was like totally ineffective. So I did get up and dabbed with a toilet
I feel
paper.
like I wouldn't mind dabbing with toilet paper because the thing about bidet to me is not about saving the world by not using toilet paper, but about me feeling cleaner at the end of the day.
That's
You
it.
actually are.
Yeah.
That's it. I
And
mean,
you're probably still saving toilet paper because you're not going back for the 18th wipe.
But so, like, I used a bidet
Been
in
there.
Arizona a couple years ago, which is weird because it's the desert and they wipe with water. America. Fucking amazing. Middle of the desert.
We don't even have any of this around us. Run it over your ass
Yeah, middle of the desert.
Awesome.
Like, we brought all this water in from Illinois.
to wash your ass.
Yeah, so you can spray it up your butthole. Thank you. So I used a bidet there, and it was like the old European style, which is like a totally separate bowl with its own jet.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no way to,
Whoa,
to,
whoa,
to
whoa,
dry.
whoa. What do you mean?
You
So-
ever seen the old school bidets?
Yeah,
where
yeah,
they're
yeah.
like there's
So
the
what's
toilet?
what's the new school?
It's
Oh,
a
it's
tongue.
like
It's
a-
a tongue.
It's a toilet seat that it's a cow's tongue.
It's like a cat.
No, the new one is a toilet seat that you take your toilet seat off and you put it on your toilet, and it's right there.
And it's got a telescoping wand
Yeah,
that
like
comes
the thing
out
it goes
and then
"Meh,"
sprays.
and
So
comes
it's
out.
not recycling the water from below, is it?
No,
No,
it's
it has
pulling off the
has a
its own
special
water
wa-
supply.
Yeah, that would be a little foul.
Poo and
I
pee
think
water.
We need to get off this topic.
I just think you need to figure out how a bidet works. I feel like we haven't had the breakthrough yet. Yes, they're all right. So they're not pulling dirty water from the toilet.
I don't get out much.
I see that. Don't you?
He's peed under doors before, so it's a different
I
world.
guess that's true. I'm trying to like get him up to like using a bidet. He's like, if there's just a crack under the door,
Yeah.
you know, it's like perfect.
Hold on. What's this indoor plumbing you're speaking of? I'm confused.
Yeah, every time JR spends the night, I like walk down the hall and there's like just pee
Puddle
on the
under the
carpet
door.
outside his room. Like, what are you doing? Like, well,
I'm sleeping in here. You think I'm really gonna pee in here? Come on, get with it.
come on. I'm not a dog. So I pee out.
Yeah.
Respect.
You're welcome.
No, so that's they that's what they do. They spray, but they have multiple levels of spray. They have all kinds of different wands. They have all kinds. They have one right now, the Toto Washlet, like 8,000, 9,000 series. Like this one, it ionizes the water.
You actually know that there's an 8,000 to 9,000 series.
He's done a lot of research.
The difference, maybe it's 800, 900, but either way, the difference between the two, the only difference is that one of them has a night light and the seat comes up on its own, which I don't know that I need. I don't know.
No.
So I'm shopping for the 800, but but it has something called the e-water system. When it senses that you've come in the room, it sprays ionized water on the inside of the bowl, so no poop sticks to it.
Wow.
And this is how I'm selling my wife. You'll never have to clean a
Yeah.
bowl again. And she's like, well, I kind of like that, but you already sit in the bathroom long enough without.
What's the name of that movie with the guy from Breaking Bad? And I think it's called Why Him? The guy from Breaking Bad is married. His
He's
daughter
the dad.
marries.
James Franco is the
Yes.
like rock star.
Yes.
Okay, I never
And he's
saw
got-
it.
And he's got the toilet,
I've never seen the movie, but I know what you're talking about.
so that he has a computerized house or a totally automated
A
house.
smart home, if you will.
There you go. That too. I'm old school.
Computerized house. It's by Tandy. It's got a Commodore 64
an
built
Apple.
right into the wall.
It's an
bought
Apple
it-
II. So
They
it's
bought it
pretty
at
sweet.
Radio Shack.
Yeah.
Anyway, the toilet was completely automated, and bottom line is the mother ended up getting off with the help of the,
The bidet.
what did you say? The automated system? The
Articulating
smart
wand?
home?
Yeah, the smart home.
Yeah, the smart lady talked her through getting off on the bidet.
So I hadn't thought about that. Now I wonder
I
about
thought that's
the-
why you wanted it.
Oh, you mean like getting off, not
Like,
standing.
if you're already
like
doing
getting
it in
up off
there,
the toilet.
why not just have it shoot up your ass
Yeah,
at the same
that
She
time?
would
had an
be-
orgasmic experience.
Gotcha.
That would be problematic when I'm like, honey, if you could just bring a hose into the bedroom. I'm trying to.
I'm trying to create a virtual rim job.
I mean, it never occurred to me that could.
I can only finish with 50 psi blowing into my balloon knot.
That's why I'm making one with a tongue.
What happened?
We were talking about hogweed.
And skunks.
Yeah, we are.
We go sideways
You
very
never. I
quickly.
tried to bring you back. You never got to the skunk story. You were talking about Grandpa and the pitchfork and the bees.
And how he beat you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any skunk stories.
I think you started talking about the bleach
Wasps.
the bleach bath.
It was the
instead of
tomato bath that went to the bleach bath in my mind. I didn't actually have a tomato. I mean, I don't really like tomato soup. Especially after, like, a kid's been in there for a
Yeah.
while. It's disgusting. And I was covered in wasp stings.
Good times.
Wow.
JR's starting to figure out how it's not a linear show.
Yeah.
Nope. I like
A lot
that.
of non sequiturs.
I'm not linear.
Yeah, well, this is
all over the
show's for
place.
you. That's for sure. You should be used to it. You do that podcast, what, 3-4 times a week, right, Joe?
Absolutely. Yes, I do.
This podcast is like Brendan bent over looking at his ass in a mirror. It's a disaster.
That's right.
Hey, speaking of cougars, Troy, do you know anything about a story about cougars that have come out lately?
Yes. I heard about that. I'm assuming JR heard about it. So down in Georgia, this grandmother, she's a grandmother. Of course, she's in Georgia, so she's only 46, I think. She sees a, she actually is 46. She sees a bobcat.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
She is 46, and she's a grandmother.
Yeah.
Okay, so the joke wrote itself.
Yeah. So she sees this bobcat out in her yard. So what does she do? What would anybody do?
Take it in. Give it food.
She
Go
goes
get
out,
a gun.
she goes outside to take a picture of it, which you could have done from inside your home. If you saw it from inside your home, you could take a picture.
More people die from selfie accidents than fucking sharks and lightning combined.
Are you
know what I mean? I mean, it's ludicrous. There were two people taking a selfie the other day, fell off a cliff. This dumbass goes outside because she sees a bobcat, wants to take a picture. The
Yeah,
last
so-
thing on my mind is
so-
get the phone.
Turns out this bobcat is rabid, and she goes outside to take a picture of it.
God, it's rabid.
And she comes around the corner of the car, and next thing she knows, she's standing on top of this thing, and it just lunges at her.
Oh, my God.
I'm not even mad at the bobcat.
No, like,
Bitch comes out trying
Got
to take a
walked
selfie.
up-
I
yeah,
already
got
got
walked up
rabies.
Go fuck your selfie.
so the story goes, she grabbed this sucker by the neck and choked the life out of it while it was trying to.
She choked the life
Yeah.
out of a bobcat?
Yes.
That
She
is
strangled
damn
this
impressive,
bobcat.
man.
I have an incredulous look on my face. I'm not buying this.
A big
so
cat?
I totally agree. I wasn't buying it too.
So are you saying because I found the story on the internet that it
A
possibly
mad house cat will fuck you up, but a bobcat?
That is my point.
So-
That's
House cat,
exactly
you try to
it.
hold a house cat down and it gets pissed, it is going to scratch the
Shit,
It's
you
true.
try to-
You're going to lose to a 13-pound house cat.
you try to pick a house cat up to put it in a carrier and it loses its mind.
Oh,
on
you'll
you.
you'll
Cats are
win.
killers.
You'll win, but you're going to get fucked up.
All right, yeah, so let's go to that because there are many different levels of domesticated house cat, right?
Yeah.
And a pissed off house cat will fuck you up.
Yes.
Will mess you up
Yeah.
every time. A really nice, docile house cat, you could probably beat it into submission before it realizes.
My wife
that-
had a cat when I met her, and that thing was mean as shit. And the first night I went over to her house, we were going out for dinner or something, and she went upstairs to finish getting ready, and I was walking around downstairs, and the house cat was sitting on a table, and I walked up and stood next to it, and it was just looking at me, and I started looking around the house, and all of a sudden I just felt like this warmth on my forearm, and I looked down, the house cat was looking at me, I looked at my forearm, it just swiped the shit out of me, and I had 3 razor marks across my forearm where it just was like, what's up, dude? This is my house. So, I mean, listen, I believe your arguments. Like, house cats can be mean, but the story
But a
goes,
bobcat weighs what, 40, 50 pounds?
they come in various sizes, 25 to 50 pounds.
Okay, so that's
But
a
big cat,
And
man.
and let's go ahead and go back to one very key point. It's rabid.
Yes.
So that's like the equivalent of me on PCP. Like,
Is
yes,
it? Or is it weak? Is it weaker? I don't know. I mean, I know they're crazy. I know they
So-
go crazy.
The last stage right before death is that crazy, violent, foaming. whatever. So technically, it is weaker. But
It's a
again,
wounded animal.
It's a wounded animal that is hell bent on death.
Yeah.
So it's like PCP. It really
So the
is.
sto-
I did look at the news interview with the woman. She's a rough looking woman. I will say that.
But
she-
she's
Oh, Georgia
She is
woman
not
should
fit.
Put it on you.
She's not in shape. She's an older woman. I mean, she could be anywhere from 46,
Country strong,
if you say, to 75. And she had a fair amount of scratches on her, but I mean, if I choked a bobcat, I'm sure I would be scratched and bloody from head to toe.
Now, you know, if
And
you
she
get
was not.
rabies, it's like 100% you die.
She got treated for rabies after
You have to
this.
And then
immediately
when you get like
treated.
100 shots
yeah,
or
you
something
get
crazy
in your belly. They like,
But once rabies sets in, like you actually have the rabies, you die.
yeah, but
That's
they can
like one
they
of
can
the,
treat it. Like if they
to a
know-
certain
yeah,
point.
Like
But-
if they know you get bit by something, then they can
But if
treat
you
it.
wait like
They
2
treat it
days,
with hogweed.
you die. Yeah.
rub
the
some
cure-
hogweed on that.
So
the cure hurts more than
the
the
story
bobcat.
the story is an amazing story, but to me it gets even better. So she strangles this thing, and
So she literally just goes outside and strangles a bobcat.
yeah.
Yep.
So then
pretty
the
beast.
thing's laying there.
trust this
The
at all.
thing's laying there on the ground. So after she realizes it's not moving, she starts calling for help. So she calls out to her son to get a gun.
Shoot me now! I've got the rabies.
So the son comes out, and for whatever reason, he didn't grab a gun, and he stabbed it 4 or 5 times.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
And she's sitting
I
there
mean,
telling
that really got out of hand fast.
she's telling the story. She's saying after the first couple stabs, the bobcat didn't make a move, so she was like, "I knew it was dead."
So did she fucking get her selfie?
Can we back up just a second?
Okay.
By the
he
way,
has got the internet. I gave him the login
The
for
green light.
Wi-Fi. Yeah.
this is a quote from the news story. She had just put a, quote, "women who behave rarely make history," unquote, sticker on the back of her new truck.
Yeah, she's not your wife or my wife. She's out for blood.
My wife would be out for blood, but I truly believe if she went out and fought a rabid bobcat, I would have found my dead wife and the bobcat over and like strangled her.
Yeah.
This is what she says. This is in quotes. "I grabbed it by the shoulders and pushed it back away from me, and I took it down."
I feel threatened.
Yeah, you do.
The soundboard did not make a single appearance till an hour and like 10 minutes into the show. Now I can't.
I mean,
over
come on, dude. I mean, seriously.
So you're not buying it?
I have to call bullshit on this. She says she told the newspaper that she did not scream for help until she thought the animal was dead. "I was scared that my granddaughter would come out, and I didn't want that to happen." So she's fighting
protective
this
mother
fucking
is pretty-
rabid cougar and choking it to death.
The thing knows how to open doors. I got to protect my granddaughter.
Oh my God, dude.
I think it's true. I think it's legit.
The only reason I think I give it some credibility is because I did see this on a lot of like respectable news outlets over the last week. So I know the story you speak of, but I don't trust that she is a credible witness. I think
It got stabbed first.
I know Troy just said this, but I got to say her quote. "My son stabbed it 4 or 5 times, but it never budged, so I knew it was completely dead."
That's right.
That's a quote from the story.
I thought that was her speaking.
yeah. How did they write it with that accent? How do you know to do that?
I lived in Georgia before.
How badass is that, though?
I don't know how much I believe her, but to your point, if she's one of those like old grandmas from like the South, country grandma,
Yeah.
country grandmas have seen and done some shit.
Yeah.
That's true.
Here's a little tidbit at the end of the story. Doesn't really give any details, but all it says is a bobcat attacked 2 men and a dog last year in Arizona and later tested positive for rabies. That's the last sentence in the story.
How
It's,
do you
it's
end
almost
with that?
implying that bobcat beat their ass.
Yeah.
And this lady is such a badass that she choked this bobcat out.
I mean, you've heard about women like lifting cars off their babies and shit. I mean,
You're not getting my granddaughter.
yeah.
If I put you
Done.
If I put you outside in my yard right now, right? You against a bobcat. Do you think you're going to get more lumped up than that woman?
You don't know how
Dude,
you're going to
honestly,
react.
I'm just asking if I put you in a. Do you think?
She looked. I mean, she was bandaged up pretty good.
But do you think you would have been more effective or less effective in fighting a bobcat?
Honestly,
I mean, she was pretty damn effective. I don't know how it could
That's
be
what
more
I'm saying.
effective.
No, she was
Yeah.
pretty effective if her story is true, and that's why I think.
I mean, you got to think if you get that thing away from you and you got your 3-foot reach on it, like how long are it's going to get your arms if you can get.
Oh, yeah.
If you can keep it away from your face and stuff and your body. I don't know.
They're squirrely little fuckers, though.
They
Let
are.
the bobcat jump on your roof.
dude, I'm seeing a bobcat.
They kill with their face.
But see,
I'm going back inside.
Well, that's my thing. I'm not going out there. But we talk about the house cat. Like, you never just
Why
grab
not
the
get
house
the gun
cat
first?
If you grab the house cat by the neck, like literally around the neck, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, the kids cry a lot when you do that.
I mean,
You're not holding them hard enough.
cats are used to being the attackers. So get them around the neck.
Puss in Boots? Daddy's choking Puss in Boots. Oh my God, that kills.
She's
me.
pretty badass.
She is a badass. I question if her story's true, but look, it's certainly possible.
Yeah.
I mean, dudes have wrestled bears.
Yeah,
I believe Putin's done it like 3 times.
yeah, for funsies.
Yeah, so, I mean, I know it can be done. I just think if I had to fight a rabid bobcat,
Putin,
I think I'd be pretty well lit up. And she only looked lit up a little.
Yeah.
That's all I'm
Like it was
saying.
more like a house cat fight.
Putin rides horses bare-chested too. I almost
damn
said
right.
I almost said bareback.
Maybe that too. I'm
He
just
does
saying.
both.
I don't know how a rabid. I feel like a fully healthy bobcat would shred you, but I don't know a
But a healthy
rabid
bobcat
bobcat.
Maybe
wouldn't
it
it?
was emaciated a little
Yeah,
bit.
like
or-
maybe it was really out of it. You know, like maybe it was
because
on
they're
its
not
last
eating.
leg.
They're not. Yeah. And it. So that's
it was in a weakened state.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
well. If you see the video of it, it's a pretty mangy looking fucking bobcat.
Yeah,
okay.
So maybe it was. I guess we don't know the condition of the bobcat going in, and from what I heard, it had at least 4 or 5 stab wounds. So that's
Walk it
gonna,
off, bobcat.
That's gonna slow you down.
What is it NBA? Is it the Charlotte Bobcats?
Yeah, Charlotte Bobcats. They do have.
Wonder if they're going to change their name now.
Oh,
Choked out by a grandma in
Yeah.
Georgia.
That's true. Every time, like, they go to a visiting place,
Yeah.
they should have that old lady come out and choke out the bobcat
New
mascot. That would be fucking awesome. They're like, we got him. Look at
that's
that.
pretty funny.
The Vegas grannies beat the
Yeah.
bobcat.
They should change their name to that lady's name. Get a picture of her on their unis.
Yeah, that would sell tickets. Dude, she was haggard.
Yes.
She was not an attractive woman. Unless you're a listener, in which I would say, keep up the good work, Grandma. We definitely appreciate you listening to the show. Yeah. Speaking
Call
of,
in.
Grandma, if you haven't had a chance to sign up someone, drop the old Cincinnati swap on them, that would be fantastic. If you guys don't know what the Cincinnati swap is, it's pretty easy. Grab someone's phone, sign them up for the show. In fact, JR, I believe you're familiar with the old Cincinnati swap.
I don't think I am.
Well, that's how you got signed up for the show. You should look in your podcast. You are a subscriber. You may not know it.
I didn't know that was called the Cincinnati Swap.
It is. I grabbed your phone and signed you up at a party a few months back, I believe.
I think, okay, I remember now. That was Kentucky Derby, 2017, I think.
Boom.
Yeah.
That means I've gotten at least like 60 downloads out of that guy. I like it. If you guys haven't had a chance to send in any topics to us, please do so at insidethepallethouse@gmail.com, or you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at ITPH Podcast. We'd love to hear from you, hear what you got going on. And keep an eye out for Troy's poll.
That's right.
It doesn't sound as good when I say it.
You'll love
Is
it.
it dipping in the bidet?
We'll talk about it next episode.
We'll talk about it next episode. We put a poll out, and I find the results to be interesting.
Wrong poll.
Yeah.
Wrong poll. I'm sorry.
Maybe.
JR,
not.
thank you so much for coming in. If you don't mind, man, I'd love to have you stick around for next week's show.
Sure. I'm game.
I like it. I like it. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you all have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. Cheers.
Cheers. That was a pretty good podcast, don't you think?